Dear friends, Daisy was most upset when she heard that people were saying there were no female engines on the Fat Controller's railway.
You must do something about it,
she told me indignantly.
There's me and Mavis and I was in charge while Thomas was away at that great railway show, wasn't I?
Well, she wasn't really, but would you dare tell her? These stories are about what happened before Thomas came home. The author. While Thomas was away in New York for the Great Railway Show, some of his friends had to do his job for him. For example, Percy took care of Benny and Clarabelle along with most of the trains he had to pull. Meanwhile, Daisy took care of the fast runs that's at the junction where Gordon always stops at. It made her feel very important and loved to show off her swerve and paintwork, and also wants to prove to Sir Topham Hatt that she's really useful. But what about the jobs that don't have to do with the passengers? Well, Toby's in charge of those and mostly drops the loads off at the docks. He really likes doing it, as in to move a lot more than he usually does. But one day, things weren't going well because a snowstorm was covering the island. Daisy was waiting at the junction for Gordon so she can take care of the passengers. She was enjoying the snow, but her crew wasn't so sure about it.
I think it's fun. It's beautiful to look at, and it's soft like a blanket.
I don't know about that, Daisy. It could be very dangerous, and it's very cold and wet. That's why Gordon's delayed right now. Otherwise, he would run off the rails, and then we'll be in trouble.
Then he turned to her guard.
I don't think it's safe for Daisy to run on the snow. She's not as heavy as the steam engines, and there's no way she can make her way through the piles of snow.
You mean like how Thomas got stuck in it once?
Exactly! I don't want that happening to us. And there's no snowplow for her to wear, so we're going to have to be super careful on the icy rails.
I agree. He told us his event so many times to the point we understand what he meant and not wanting the same thing with us.
Just then, Gordon finally arrived and complained about the snow.
Darn snow! Let me tell you something. I wouldn't have to be late if it wasn't for the weather all of a sudden falling down from the sky and Mother Nature saying, "Hey, I'm going to make winter come early and screw everything up without you coming up with a plan." I guess you could say that winter came early. What a joke.
Well, I don't find a small problem. A few flakes won't slow me down. And besides, we don't mess with Mother Nature, otherwise she'll give us a much harder time than this.
I guess you're right, sis. As long as Sir Topham Hatt understands the weather situation. I better get going. There's no need for me to be late even more. See you around.
And Gordon left to continue his run, leaving Daisy to take care of the passengers who needed to go home by the station she needed to go to. The snow wasn't bothering her at all, the rails weren't slick, and there wasn't any piles of snow blocking her way. But that changed when she got to the valley. The sky turned to gray and the snow was getting heavy. She tried to see through the snow, but it was very difficult.
Oh my, I can't see a thing anymore from all of this snow.
Neither can I, but we must find a signal box so I can call for help.
At last they finally found the next signal box, and a driver walked in to talk to the signal man on what's ahead of them. He soon walked out looking very upset and had bad news.
Attention everyone! I'm afraid that there's a few deep drifts of snow ahead of us, and there's no way we're going to make it through them. So Daisy will have to take you back to the previous station, and we'll have someone else to take you home from there.
If we're lucky enough to get there in one piece.
The driver ignored the passenger's comment and tried to get Daisy to go back, but something wasn't right. She started to feel ill and cough like crazy, and nothing was working.
Something's not right with me. I can't breathe properly and my wheels feel wobbly all of a sudden.
Her driver checked all around her to see what's wrong and found the problem.
The snow has clogged your air tank. That's why you're having so many problems. I knew this was going to happen, but nobody listened to me.
He immediately cleaned out all the snow, but more snow clogged up the air tank again. That's how bad the weather was getting. Daisy couldn't move at all. She was starting to cry, knowing that she can't move another inch.
Oh, I think that snow was a fun thing to be in. I might as well stay here till I'm frozen. What a silly beefle I am.
Don't worry. I'll just call for help from the signal box and we'll be out of here in no time.
That's exactly what he did. He walked up to the signalman and had him call for help. As time went by, the passengers were staying warm inside of Daisy while she was dealing with the freezing snow, feeling even more miserable to the point that even her driver couldn't cheer her up. The snow was getting higher and there still wasn't any sign for help. Nobody knows how they were going to get rescued. Then they heard a weird noise. It definitely wasn't the wind. All the passengers walked out finding out what the noise was. They looked up and they saw Harold the helicopter.
Don't worry, everyone. I'll take you home safely. You can count on me.
A ladder fell off him and told everyone to climb up. So everyone climbed up one by one into him. And after they did, he told Daisy to not worry.
Toby will be here in a bit to get you out of that snowdrift. I'd love to stay and chat to keep you company, but I need to take these buses to safety. See you soon. Goodbye.
Oh, no, not Toby. He'll start making fun of me and laugh about it too.
You'll just have to deal with it, Daisy. He has his own snow plow, and our only chance to get us out of this nightmare.
So she and her crew waited for Toby for a few minutes. At last, he came to the rescue. You know, it's a shame that there's no snowplows made for diesels like you. Then you wouldn't have to deal with snow problems like this and continue enjoying the snow. Daisy was too cold and embarrassed to say anything. She didn't think the snow was fun anymore, and just couldn't look at it the same way again. On Thomas's branch line, there's a stream with a bridge to cross over above it. There's hardly any trouble with the stream, but due to the unexpected snowstorm, it rose much higher to the point that it nearly touched the tracks. When Percy was passing through, he could see how high the river was, and it made him very nervous.
Don't worry, Percy. The river has to be much higher to break the bridge and take us with it.
I hope you're right, driver. It just seems like we always have bad luck with rivers and bridges.
I know, but we can't let that slow us down because of those past two events. Besides, once Thomas comes back from New York, you won't have to worry about it anymore.
That made Percy feel a bit better, but he could still remember the time he went into a flood while keeping his promise to Thomas, and the time he had to save Toby from a nearby death on a waterfall. So hopefully, nothing bad happens this time while he's running the branch line. The next morning, Percy and his crew were waiting for Toby to tell them about the stream, to see if it's safe to go or not. At last, he arrived to tell them the news. The stream isn't as high as it was yesterday, so you're good to go.
Thank you, Toby. We should be on our way then.
Anytime, and good luck. When Percy got to the station to pick up Thomas's passengers, Henry was there to pick up his and started talking to him.
Hello, Percy. I see you're still pulling Thomas's passengers. Do you know when he's coming back?
Before Percy could answer, he was rudely interrupted.
If he does arrive, then it'll be a shame that he didn't stay as a museum piece.
And he popped away laughing. Annie and Clarabelle were furious at Henry's joke, so Percy had to calm them down by telling them to take a deep breath and ignore him. Then the guard blew his whistle and they were off.
I mustn't be late.
Don't worry, Percy. We're running on schedule, and everything seems to be fine.
But he was wrong. When they were crossing over the bridge, a weird creaking noise was coming from underneath.
Driver? What was that? That sounded like it came from the bridge.
Then they felt a swerve and it was coming from the bridge as well. And they knew that trouble was about to happen. Percy immediately started puffing faster to get away from the bridge. When they got to the other side, the bridge collapsed and went down to the ravine below.
Holy moly! What just happened?
His firemen ran out to check. The bridge was completely gone. Percy, Annie, and Clarabelle were shaking from the crazy event, but at the same time, they feel lucky to be alive. It didn't take long for Sir Topham Hatt to shut down the line for repairs. He immediately had the construction crew build a new and stronger bridge, so it won't happen again for a long time. Percy and Toby loved having a break while the bridge was in repairs, but they soon grew bored and needed something to do. Thankfully, the bridge was finished after a few weeks and Daisy was fixed after the snowstorm at the same time as well. So Percy didn't need to pull as many passengers as he did anymore. But he was being extra careful while crossing the bridge, and always making sure to not look down at the stream below. Otherwise, it'll make him think that he'll fall down in the water and get wet again. I don't think that'll never happen. Do you? While Percy was taking care of Thomas's branch line, Toby had to take care of Percy's stone trucks, and he loved it. It reminds him of his old railway when it was still packed and not taken over by lorries. The only problem with it, though, is his water tank. It's very small, so he has to stop and have water multiple times. Why didn't the steamworks rebuild it to make it bigger? That I have no idea. But what I do know is that one day Toby was afraid about running out of water, so his driver had to calm him down.
Don't worry, Toby. We won't run out of too much water as long as we're being careful.
But what about the water column? What if it breaks down? Thomas warned me about that.
Oh, that? I doubt we'll go fishing and accidentally put some fishing in your tank like he did.
Toby felt less worried, but he still wasn't sure. Nevertheless, he was busy working very hard from the quarry all the way to the docks. When Toby drops off the trucks full of stone from the quarry, there's always empty ones to take back so they can be refilled with stones again. But one day, he was running late. He waited at the yards for Mavis to arrive with the stones, but she never came, and that made him worry.
Oh dear, I hope she's okay and didn't get herself into another accident like the time with the lorry.
Just then, the station master came to talk to him.
Mavis was feeling ill this morning, so she had to get fixed right away. But don't worry, Toby. She's feeling a lot better, and she's on her way with the stones right now.
That made Toby feel a lot better, and waited patiently for her. At last, she finally came with the stones, and Toby was on his way to the docks with them. When he got to the docks, there were so many trucks for him to take, his driver counted how many there were, and everyone was surprised by this.
That's way too many for us to take. Talk about having a mecha train. We'll have to take 2 trips just to make this possible.
But why not take all of them? You'll save us plenty of time, and I'm still strong for an old engine like me. I think I'll be fine, and everything will go well.
His crew wasn't so sure about that, but they agreed, and Toby started with a heave and a haul. The trucks were very heavy for him, but he still managed to pull them. What he didn't realize was that he was already low on water, and he had to go up on Gordon's hill. He was using so much steam that it made his water tank go low really fast. so he had to get more at the station. His firemen put the hose into his water tank, but nothing came out, so even the water tower was out of water.
Well, that's just great. Now what do we do?
Well, you could try to continue pulling all of these trucks on your own, but I don't think that's even going to work either.
Then, he and the firemen had a plan.
You know what? I just remembered that there's somewhere else that we can get water from.
Really? Where?
They told the signalmen that they're leaving the trucks at the station so there won't be any accidents, and they went to the place that the driver was talking about. As soon as they got to the place, Toby was surprised. They were standing on the river bridge, so they were going to get water out of the river.
Are you crazy? There's no way I'm going to allow you to put fish into my tank.
Oh, don't worry. We're only giving you a hard time. What we'll really do is go to the top station and get water from there.
Toby took a deep breath to calm down, and they went to the next station where there were plenty of water there. After that, they came back with the trucks, and Percy was there dropping some passengers.
Hey, Toby! What's with all those trucks taking over that line?
Toby told Percy everything and asked for his help.
I'm not sure. I still have some passengers to take care of. Tell you what, I only have a couple stops left to do, so wait here for me to be finished, and then I'll come back to help you.
And that's exactly what happened. When Percy came back, he coupled up in front of Toby, and they set off to finish the job. Toby was very thankful to have Percy help him. But he sure learned his lesson to not take so many things at once, and just take a few trips to make it easier on everyone. The level crossing for vehicles to pass was under construction, so it caused some traffic and some delays. A lorry was very cross with the construction.
Stupid construction. I think railways should be torn up to pieces and let us take over the island.
Rubbish, and if it wasn't for the railway, then it would take the villagers to their homes safely without bumping around like peas in a frying pan.
Pah! If it wasn't for us, roads wouldn't exist on this island. We can go places where you can't even get to.
Daisy didn't say anything else, and roared away to the station where both Toby and Percy were. She told them about what the lorry said, and that got Toby worried.
Pay no attention to him, darling. He's just too puffed up in his gas tank to even care about how important we all are.
She knew he was right and made a decision to just ignore the lorry since arguing with him won't go anywhere. Just then, the station master walked out with important news.
Attention, everyone. I have important news to tell you. Thomas will be coming back from the railway show next week. So Topham Hatt will be gone to visit and ride back with him. So we must give him a big welcome back reunion for him.
The Indians were very happy to hear that their friend will be coming back from York. That means they can go back to their regular jobs and Thomas can have his back. They were busy getting everything ready for the reunion for a whole week. The lorry could see how excited Daisy was.
What's with that giant smile on your face?
Thomas is coming back from Europe, so we are putting up a reunion for him. He'll be very happy to see that we still care about him after his visit from far away.
Whatever. Even when your most popular engine comes back, it doesn't make any difference about your rails. They're still going to be turned into roads one day. You'll see.
But Daisy didn't pay attention to him. She knew it was best to do so. At last, the day came for the reunion. Sir Topham Hatt took the express to York to go see Thomas and come back to Sodor with him. Everything was nearly ready. Daisy was getting the last of the important passengers like the Duke and Duchess along with Mrs. Kindly. She was on her way to the station and had to go through the crossing again. Thankfully, there wasn't a sign of the lorry, but an orange cone was in the middle of the tracks from the winds. She spotted it and immediately put on her brakes, but it was too late and it went under her wheels. Finally, they stopped and her driver checked to see if she was badly damaged.
I'm feeling lots of pain right now. How badly damaged am I, driver?
Well, the cone only damaged your brakes, but that's about it.
Oh dear. We won't get to the reunion on time before Thomas comes back. I think that Lorry has something to do with this. Why can't that darn truck just stay out of our ways?
I don't think the lorry has anything to do with this. I can feel some wind blowing through us, so it has something to do with it.
But are we going to get to the reunion on time without my brakes working?
Well, I'll call for your fitter, and we'll still get there no matter what.
And he was right. The fitter immediately came to fix Daisy up, and it only took him 5 minutes to fix her. After that, she continued her way to the reunion. At last, they finally made it, and on time. Everyone was still waiting for Thomas's arrival, and everything was all set.
Phew, we made it.
See, Daisy? I told you we'll make it no matter what.
Before she could reply, they all heard a familiar whistle and knew exactly who it was. It was Thomas with Sir Topham Hatt. Everyone cheered as loud as they could. Percy blew his whistle, Toby rang his bell, and Daisy blew her horn. Thomas enjoyed being in New York, but he was very happy to be back in Soldor. Then Sir Topham Hatt spoke to him.
See, Thomas? No matter what, you're always the pride of our line and a really useful engine.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, everyone, for doing this for me.
Well, we all believed in you, and you didn't fail us one bit from your visit. Now, everybody, let's all put our hands together for Thomas the Tank Engine, our #1 engine. Hip hip, hooray, hooray, hooray!
Everyone cheered even more, and Thomas was excited to get back to doing his jobs. He felt like nothing changed while he was away, and was glad to be home again.